So this is the supremely practical Nissan Prairie, the first M10 version launched in 1982. Actually had a really long gestation period. Nissan were working on an MPV since the early 1970s, but the Japanese manufacturers were really wary of MPVs for some reason, weren't sure the market would be up for it. But when it finally did hit the market in 1982, sold in America as the Stanza Wagon, it became quite the hit. In Japan you could even have an extra row of seats to make it a full 9-seater. You could seat 3 across the front, 3 in the middle, and then 3 on an extra row in the back. I think UK ones were only ever 5-seaters, but still very, very practical indeed. This boot space is enormous, and I haven't even folded this seat yet. With the seat folded down, there's even more space, and you can also arrange the seats flat to make a bed, although as is often the case, it's really uncomfortable and lumpy. You want a demonstration anyway? Okay, very well. First of all, we rock this seat back and it clips down at the base there. And we pull this lever and we can fold it down to here. That's as flat as it can go because of the wheel arch intrusion. We can pull the head restraints out of these front seats. There we go. That can be stored down there. Pull the seat forward and tilt down a bit more. And there we go. We have got my automotive dream bed. Yeah, it's it might do the job, but obviously it's a little bit lumpy. Now, because the B pillar is absent, we've got doors that are actually attached to the top and bottom, and there's reinforcement in both doors which forms the B pillar once the car is closed, and the seat belt is mounted here on the door. Initially it wasn't. Initially it was mounted on the roof, and that actually carried over to America. This wasn't allowed over there, so American Prairies retained the roof mounted seat belt. But as you can see, just look at the sheer space on offer in here. It's enormous in a car which is based, as the name suggests, quite a bit on the Stanza, although there's a bit of Sunny as well. They raided all the parts bins to make this car as user-friendly as possible, but also reliable. Why reinvent the wheel? So under the bonnet, if we open this up, there we go, and find the stand, it's just traditional Nissan motoring really. We've got the CA18 engine, 1.8 litres. You could also get the E15, I think it was a 1.5, but really you want the 1.8. You've got to move stuff around, so you need the extra power. There was also a 2-litre 4-wheel drive available later on, but they'd had to stiffen the body shell somewhat to allow that. But even the structure is very similar to the Stanza, just moved up a bit to make everything a bit taller. But yeah, nice accessible engine bay, automatic choke on the carburettor, nice simple coil, everything very accessible, very easy to work on. The styling is perhaps a little fussy. You know, we've got 2 indicators going on at the front. That's just very typical Nissan at that time in life. And it's no oil painting, that's for sure. But look how boxy it is. It's just designed with practicality in mind. A nod to my former magazine, Retro Japanese. But yeah, I love Eddie's choice of aftermarket wheels as well. They just look very period correct. They just brighten up what would otherwise be a very dull car. Even the rear lights are somehow not very interesting. Though I think the American market ones had something that looked rather more like a Rubik's Cube. So that was at least interesting. But look how low the waistline is. Huge depth to the glass area. So it feels really nice inside. Visibility is truly excellent. Now you may well wonder whether there's any practical benefit to having no B-post. But it does mean it's a lot easier to slot large items into the vehicle, although the large hatch also helps there. But my friend Eddie, who owns this beautiful example, says there's another advantage. If you're in a car park and you're close to someone, you can't get through the gap. You can open the rear door and then you can kind of squeeze in all the more easily. So that's sort of an advantage, I guess. Taking in the dashboard, it's very, very typical Nissan. There's a lot of angularity here. We've got noisy headlamp, warning buzzer, so you're definitely not going to forget those. And very typical Nissan, the orange on graph paper that they really liked, and even the heater controls are in orange. It was their favourite. We've got the original Nissan cassette stereo here, a pull twist handbrake, a little glove box, quite a decent size, and basically loads of space. The gear lever is quite long and comes a long way up. It's got a fairly quick motion on it given how long it is. There are cubby boxes everywhere. Look at the depth, even in the armrests, little cubbies, and under the seats little storage drawers in which you can apparently store sand. But the floor is largely flat throughout the vehicle, so again it's just making the most of that practicality. Getting into the rear, surprisingly easy as well, because sliding doors and no B-pillar. Once I'm in, not all that good for seat height. It's a little bit too low for me, so it's not supporting me under the legs, but otherwise plenty of headroom, and rear head restraints can be fitted as well, so you're actually fairly safe here. If I shut the door, you'll note we've actually got little fold-out window winders, rather like a Triumph 1300, but that's as far down as the window goes because of the wheel arch intrusion, I guess, and the strengthening they've had to build into the doors. Tiny little ashtray here, and some little storage down there. And of course I can actually adjust the rear seat. I can change the angle. If I pull the lever correctly, I can anyway. So I can have a very relaxed experience back here. So I can put my seatbelt on like so. I've just got to remember not to open the door, or I start trying to pull myself out with the seatbelt. So something to bear in mind. I'll just fire up that CA18 engine. There we go. The pedal position is a little odd. The clutch pedal is so far off to the left, and there's nowhere to rest your clutch foot. And Nissan usually good at that sort of thing, so I'm not quite sure what went wrong here. But good steering lock. And really the overall impression is that you're driving a tall car. It doesn't feel like a van. And that was always the good thing about MPVs. It was that they felt so car-like. So it feels like we're sitting high up, but the visibility is just magnificent. There is so much space. I'll put some fresh air on because it is quite warm in here. No air conditioning, sadly. I bet you could get it in Japan, but UK buyers weren't really interested in such fripperies. Windscreen wash. There we go. And put some wipe on as well. Oh, that's an excellent performance. Good overlap. No triangle of doom. We've got some dribbles just because of overexcited washers, and variable intermittent as well. Very standard Nissan stalk indicators on the right. And here we go. It's no ball of fire, but picks up really well. Good spread of torque. So easy enough to build at your speed. We're doing 60 miles an hour there. Didn't window up just for the sake of peace and quiet, even though I am now melting. Yeah, it's very pleasant. You drive along, very few shakes and rattles. Down a bumpy road you can hear it creak a bit, because obviously there isn't very much torsional strength because it's a big empty box. I think normally a car relies on bulkheads and things to give it some sort of strength. This has none of that. It hasn't even got B posts. But overall you have to say it feels very well put together. So very, very typical Nissan. So the Prairie actually came out ahead of the Renault Espace and was a purpose-built MPV. The main difference being that an Espace tended to be a 7-seater as standard. But like I say, because of where the gear lever is, I think you can get a column gear lever on the Japanese market ones, and the push-pull handbrake is designed so you can have a 2-seater bench next to you. Yeah, the engine's nice and torquey, it pulls well so you don't have to rev it, which makes it relaxing. And this is my friend Eddie's daily driver at the moment. And despite having 84,000 miles on the clock, It feels absolutely superb. And the Prairie did build up a very loyal following. It was very popular with companies that did wheelchair conversions. So a wheelchair user could roll up a ramp into the enormous space at the rear. And such was the headroom, they didn't necessarily need to bubble up the roof. So this is a very late example. This dates from 1989, by which time the M11 Prairie had taken over, which had more of a one-box shape, a sloping front end on it. And they also had their fans here, but again, I don't think we got the 7-seat versions in the UK. So it was kind of like, almost like a Renault Megane Scenic, years before the Megane Scenic came out. Renault liked to claim that the Megane Scenic was the first car in its class, but the Japanese were way ahead with cars like the Nissan Prairie, the Honda Civic Shuttle, and the Mitsubishi Space Wagon, or Chariot in some markets. And that was actually available as a 7-seater as well. But yeah, the ride is pretty decent, a little lumpy at times. See if we can find some more entertaining roads to see if we can exploit the handling of this steed. Nissan did carry on with MPVs, but sales must have been struggling in Europe, so the subsequent Prairie Joy, which was an M11 but with a conventional sort of a front end on it, we didn't see here at all. And that was eventually replaced by the La Festa, a test of which is on my channel. Quite a clever car. But yeah, I mean, noise levels are very reasonable. Given how tall it is, you'd expect it to catch the wind a bit more. But it's surprisingly economical. Surprisingly aerodynamic, which makes it surprisingly economical. Should point out the M11 Prairie did not have the missing B-pillar. It actually had conventional doors, but it still had sliding doors to the rear, which have obvious benefits for practicality, especially with children, because you know they can't open the door into a parked car next to you. Yeah, as you go down a bumpy road, you can kind of feel the structure moving around a bit, but that's not a problem really, because you know, we're not driving this car because we want a sports car experience. We're driving this car because we want safe family motoring. But you know, give it a bootful, and that overhead cam CA engine does pull very nicely. And it's a very comfortable ride, I have to say. It occasionally struggles to deal with undulations, but really very, very good. This road is undulating all over the place, and very comfortable it feels. Yeah, it rolls quite a lot. It isn't for the auto test, this one, although it'd be quite amusing to watch, I suspect. Well, there you go. That is the impressively practical Nissan Prairie. It's a great car. It looks very unexciting, and I can't say it's the most exciting car I've ever driven, but if you're after family transport, you don't necessarily want exciting. But yeah, very enjoyable. I hope you've enjoyed watching that. Don't forget you can head to the Hubnut store and buy lovely merchandise, and check the description for other ways to support the channel. But thank you, and I'll see you again. Farewell.